The china clinked and silverware chimed in practiced politeness as the Thanksgiving table buzzed with small talk and second helpings. The turkey had barely been carved when Melissa stood up, raising her glass like she was giving a wedding speech. I knew that smile. Glossy, camera-ready, soaked in self-satisfaction. I'd seen it at every school award she ever claimed credit for, even the ones I earned. "Before we get too full," she said sweetly, "there's something we've all been meaning to share." Forks paused. Chairs creaked as eyes turned toward her. My gut dropped. She looked around the table like a pageant queen preparing for her final walk. "We've talked," she said, gesturing to my parents, and after a long, honest family conversation. "We've decided that Rachel is no longer part of this family." Laughter, real laughter. Uncle Ron let out a, "Well, damn," and clapped twice. My cousin Ben raised his wine glass like he was toasting to a stock split. Even my mom smirked. "Someone had to say it," she said, popping a green bean into her mouth like this was just another course. I stared down at my plate. The cranberry sauce bled into the mashed potatoes. Then came the voice that still echoed in my childhood nightmares. My father, eyes glued to his beer bottle, muttered, "It's probably for the best." I didn't flinch, didn't cry, didn't ask why. I'd heard every version of the sentiment before, just never so rehearsed, never so choreographed. They'd planned this, chosen a holiday, a full audience, a grand performance. And I was the punchline. Melissa beamed as if she'd won something. "You've been toxic for years," she said. "We're finally just done pretending," I could have argued. Reminded them of bills paid. Favors done, birthdays funded, but I didn't. I just let the silence settle, let them think they'd won. Then slowly I pushed back my chair. Its creak echoed like a warning. I reached into my tote bag, calm, collected, and placed a thick folder right in the center of the table. The laughter stopped. Melissa tilted her head. "What's that?" I sat back down. "Something to remember me by." Her hand hovered over it, hesitation cracking her smug exterior. The folder sat there quiet and heavy like history. They disowned me with a smile. I replied with the folder. Melissa reached for the folder with the same condescension she always wore when she thought she was 2 moves ahead. She chuckled. "Seriously, Rachel, paperwork. What is this, your diary?" She flipped the cover with one perfectly manicured finger. The first page was a bank transfer, $4,000 to Melissa Sullivan, marked wedding deposit. Next, a Venmo log. 3 years of transactions, each labeled in my neat little notes. Dad's back surgery copay. Mom's overdue electric bill. Ben's book stipend. By the second page, the laughter dried up. What is this?" she muttered. The room leaned in. My mom's fork hovered midair. Jake craned his neck. Melissa turned to the next page, a color-coded table titled 5-Year Transfer Summary, totals in bold. Grand sum circled at the bottom, $76,450.38. Jake's mouth opened. Closed. Page 3. Screenshots of texts. "Melissa, you make 6 figures. $2,000 is nothing." Another from Mom. "We're not asking for a loan, just a little help like always. Dad, then don't tell your sister. She's been moody lately." Melissa's jaw twitched. Her fingers moved faster now, flipping pages like she could erase them with speed. Receipts, emails, notes, a digital trail of every time they'd needed me and I'd answered. Her smirk was gone. She flipped to a screenshot of a group chat, one I wasn't supposed to see. Her name right at the top, Rachel's basically just a walking checkbook. And there it was, the crack. Her hand shook. Her nails dug into the page's edge as if she could tear it in half, and the truth with it. Jake leaned forward, voice quiet. "Melissa, is this real?" She didn't answer. By page 4, she looked pale. On page 5, she froze. And then she screamed. A sharp, guttural sound, half fury, half panic. Her chair screeched backward. As she stumbled to her feet, the folder clutched like it burned. She slammed it shut and pointed at me with shaking fingers. "You're insane," she hissed. I didn't flinch, didn't blink. The folder sat between us, silent but undeniable. By page 2, her hands were shaking. By page 5, she screamed. Before the folder, before the toast, before Melissa's scream turned the table into a courtroom, there were the quiet years. It started small. A $300 transfer for Dad's busted radiator. "We'll pay you back next month," Mom said. Smiling like it was a given. They never did. Then came the phone call about Melissa's wedding venue falling through. "It's non-refundable," she whispered, voice trembling, just enough. "Jake's family can't cover it." I wired $4,000 the next morning. She posted a photo of the ballroom on Instagram with the caption, "Manifested this, no mention of me." Mom's credit card debt spiraled during lockdown. "It's just groceries and gas," she insisted. I paid off $7,000 because she said she couldn't sleep. Tess called from college when her scholarship fell short. I sent $2,500 for books and housing. She never responded but posted dorm pics with Starbucks in hand. I covered Dad's back surgery deductible. Twice. Once when insurance fought it again when he needed physical therapy. When I asked how he was recovering, he said, "You always worry too much," but I didn't complain. Didn't ask for receipts. I told myself it was what family did, stepped in, helped out, no strings. Melissa's voice always cut deepest. "You're lucky, Rach. No kids, no husband. You can actually afford to care." She'd say it at barbecues with a laugh like it was a compliment. Jake lost his job. I covered rent once, then twice, then pretended not to notice when they booked a beach Airbnb 2 months later. It was on points, Melissa said, avoiding my eyes. They called me generous, then dependable, then the responsible one. I was never invited to the vacations, but I always helped fund them. I didn't keep tabs at first. I just wanted peace, to be needed, to matter, but the request never stopped. The tone shifted, from grateful to expected, from thank you to obviously. Still I stayed quiet. Still I said yes. They toasted Melissa's ambition, Dad's hard work, Mom's strength. No one toasted the one who paid the bills. They called me reliable. But I was just convenient. It was a Tuesday afternoon when the text came through. Melissa, all sunshine and exclamation marks. "Hey sis, so Jake and I are finally doing it, opening our dream yoga cafe." I stared at the screen, already bracing. The next message landed 30 seconds later. "We need a co-signer for the small biz loan. Just formalities, you won't be on the hook. Promise no how are you, no warm-up, just the ask, straight to the transaction." I took a deep breath before replying. "I'm really happy for you, but I can't co-sign. It's a big financial risk, and I've already stretched a lot for the family." The read receipt popped up. Then silence, for 3 days. Then I noticed Mom stopped sending her daily, "Just checking in" texts. Dad's replies turned into single words. "Fine, busy." Okay, that weekend I opened Instagram and saw photos from Melissa's birthday brunch, champagne flutes, glitter balloons, custom cake. Everyone tagged, except me. Tess looked uncomfortable in the group shot. She never made eye contact with the camera. I checked the date. I hadn't even been invited. The cold spread slowly but deliberately. One missed call became none. Group chats went quiet. I messaged Jake. "Everything okay?" No reply. Then 3 weeks later, Melissa posted a quote, "Cutting out toxic people is self-care." I was blocked the next day. That's when something shifted, not out of spite, not revenge, just survival. I opened a spreadsheet, started pulling transaction histories, archived texts, took screenshots, labeled folders, cross-checked dates. I wasn't planning anything, not yet. I just needed proof for myself. That I hadn't imagined the weight, that it wasn't all in my head. 5 years, over $76,000. Rent, therapy sessions, school supplies, emergency flights, spa weekends labeled emotional reset. It wasn't generosity anymore. It was quiet servitude. And the one time I said no just once, they vanished. They didn't argue, they erased. That's when I stopped wondering what I did wrong and started seeing what had been true all along. Saying no didn't break the family, it revealed it. The folder sat there like a loaded weapon, thick, silent, patient. Jake leaned forward, brows furrowed, and flipped to a flagged page near the middle. I'd labeled it clearly, unauthorized charges. Melissa's card paid via Rachel's account. He scanned the first line aloud. $3, $800, Palm Beach Oasis Resort. 3 nights, room service, spa package. His voice grew quieter. Charged to my credit card, linked to your account. Melissa's face drained of color. That's not what it looks like. He didn't blink. Then what is it, she swallowed. It was a girls' weekend. With Heather. His tone sharpened. Heather, your coworker. The one you said was too intense to travel with. Melissa laughed high false. It was just a little break. I was overwhelmed. You were unemployed. The house was stressful, so you used my card. His voice cracked, and Rachel paid it off. My mother cut in sharply. Let's not do this now. This is still Thanksgiving. Jake turned to her, disbelief flooding his features. You knew? She raised a hand like she was swatting away a fly. Everyone leans on each other sometimes. Rachel never complained. That's what families do. Except she did, Jake said, pointing at me. Just not out loud. Melissa slammed the folder shut. She's trying to destroy us. Look at this. It's obsessive. Who keeps records like this? I stayed silent, calm. I didn't need to yell. The documents had already spoken. Jake opened the folder again, slower this time. You called her a walking checkbook in this group chat. He turned the page. And this is a message from you to Heather. I could empty Rachel's account and she'd still say yes. Melissa's hand shot across the table, trying to grab it back. Jake pulled away. She didn't even make these up, he said quietly. It's real, every word. Mom folded her napkin with trembling fingers. This doesn't change anything. We're still a family. I looked up for the first time in minutes. Then you should have acted like one. No one responded. Because there was nothing left to deny. They didn't deny the truth. They just hated that I saved it. The silence was taut thick enough to cut. Jake's hand hovered over the folder, still processing every dollar, every lie, every thank you that had never really been thank you. I reached into my coat pocket. Another envelope. This one thinner, colder. I placed it beside the folder like punctuation. What's that now? My mom asked, voice brittle. I didn't answer. I just slid it toward her. Melissa scoffed, still standing. More drama. Mom opened it. Her eyes scanned the page slowly, then faster, then all at once. Her breath caught. Rachel, she whispered. Dad reached over, took it from her hands. He read the top line out loud. Voice shaking, notice of revocation, durable power of attorney. Healthcare proxy, financial executor. He froze. It's all been transferred, I said, my voice steady, effective immediately. I'm no longer listed on any emergency contact forms, insurance directives, or end-of-life care documents. You can't, Mom stammered. We didn't agree to this. You don't need me, I replied softly. You made that clear. Melissa's voice cracked like glass. This is insane. You're being vindictive. No, I said. I'm being thorough. Dad set the paper down like it was radioactive. You're cutting ties with your own family, I said. You already did. I'm just finalizing the paperwork. Jake looked up at me, still holding the folder. You were the backup plan. For all of them? I nodded once. Mom's voice turned shrill. What happens if one of us ends up in the hospital? Who do they call? Not me. Her face crumpled, tears rising, but I didn't reach for her. Not this time. You're being cruel, she whispered. No, I said. I've been kind for 30 years. This is just me stopping. Melissa threw her hands in the air. You're obsessed with control. That's all this is. I looked her dead in the eye. You voted me out. I made it official. I stood smoothing my coat. No more speeches. No more proof. Just the end of the transaction. They severed me emotionally. I severed them legally. The first call came the next morning. I didn't answer, but I let the voicemail play. Rachel, honey, it's your mother. I know things got tense, but it's Thanksgiving. You don't just walk away from family over one dinner. Call me back, okay? I didn't. Later that night, a text from Tess lit up my screen. I'm sorry I didn't say anything. I didn't clap. I swear, I just froze. I miss you. I stared at it. My thumb hovered. I almost replied. Then came the follow-up. Also, do you know if you're still covering my spring tuition? The invoice came in. Of course. The next day, Jake texted. Not a word about Melissa. Just a single line, you were the only one who ever made sense. And then I found another charge on the joint card. Can you help me figure out how to unlink it? The messages kept coming. Mom again. Your dad's blood pressure is through the roof. This stress isn't good for him. Do you want to be the reason he ends up in the hospital? Followed by also the mortgage payment bounced. Just until things stabilize. Even Dad called. First time in months. Look, he said flatly. You made your point, but this is still your family. You can't just shut the door forever. I didn't answer. He tried again the next day. Your mother's crying herself to sleep. You want that on your conscience? A pause. And your name's still on the emergency fund account. We need to withdraw for the roof repairs. I didn't even flinch. One by one, I blocked the numbers, changed my passwords, froze every joint account I had ever opened in a moment of trust. I sat in my apartment, Harley curled at my feet, phone buzzing every few minutes like a warning siren from my past. They weren't trying to reconnect. They were trying to regain access, not to me, to what I gave, to what I covered, to what I fixed. No one said, we're sorry. They said, we're struggling. Every we miss you came with a price tag. I packed in silence. No calls, no announcements, no social media farewell. Just boxes taped tight and labeled clean, kitchen office books, Harley's things. I sold the couch they used to crash on, left the mattress they once begged me to store. Every object had a memory. Every memory came with a balance due. The lease in Charlotte started on a Monday. I signed the papers in the morning and crossed the state line before sunset. No forwarding address, no breadcrumb trail. The apartment wasn't big, but it had light, real light, and floors that didn't creak with old footsteps. Harley sniffed every corner, tail wagging like he knew this was ours finally. I started the new job a week later. My boss actually listened when I spoke. No one rolled their eyes when I said I preferred working alone. No one asked what I was doing for the holidays. For once, I didn't lie. Week 2, I bought a new coffee table, one that hadn't belonged to anyone else. Week 3, I bought Harley a second dog bed just because. Week 4, I let myself breathe. Then the letter came. No return address, but I knew the handwriting. Mom's looped cursive on pale blue paper. Inside 3 words. We're still family, no apology, no responsibility. Just a hook tossed into water they used to watch me drown in. I stood over the sink, let the paper hang between my fingers. Then I lit a match. The flame curled the edges first, then took the center hole. Ash flaked into the drain like snow. I didn't cry. I didn't save the envelope for closure. I didn't take a picture for proof. I just watched it disappear. The next morning, I walked Harley down a tree-lined street I couldn't name a month ago. The air was sharp but clean. A neighbor waved. I waved back. We stopped by a dog park. He ran. I sat on a bench, coffee in hand, sun on my face. And for the first time in years, no one knew where I was. No one was asking. No one was owed. I didn't run. I walked out with receipts and peace. Peace didn't come in a single wave. It came in quiet routines. Morning runs with Harley before sunrise. Coffee made slow, not rushed. No more anxious glances at my phone. No unread messages from people who only remembered me when something broke. I started therapy, real therapy. Not the kind where you go to check a box, but the kind where someone actually asks, what did they take from you that you never even noticed? I didn't answer the first time. I just cried. That was enough. A month passed, then 2. I reconnected with old college friends, people I had drifted from, not because they were distant, but because family always came first. One of them said, "You're different now, lighter." They meant it as a compliment. I took it that way. Tess was the only one who found me. The letter came in a plain white envelope scrawled in nervous pen. I didn't clap. I swear I didn't clap. I was scared. I should have said something. I should have stopped them. I'm sorry I didn't. You didn't deserve that. You never did. Thank you for everything you ever gave, even when we didn't thank you back. I hope you're okay. I really do. No request, no guilt, no attached invoice of emotion. I didn't reply, but I didn't throw it away either. I folded it once, slid it into a drawer next to my lease agreement and Harley's adoption papers. Not because I plan to reread it, but because some truths don't need closure. They just need space to land. That spring, I planted wildflowers in the front strip of soil outside my apartment's sunlight lavender poppies. I never used to garden, but something about watching new life bloom in a place that once held nothing felt right. I didn't need revenge. I didn't want apologies. I just wanted soil that belonged to me, peace that wasn't borrowed. Some bridges aren't burned in rage. They're buried under wildflowers. Sometimes people still ask casually over coffee or in hushed tones, "Do you talk to them now?" I usually smile, shake my head and say no, not anymore. What I don't say is this: I don't have to, because I've already said everything I needed to. Not in words, but in silence, in boundaries, in walking away without explanation. There was a time I thought family meant blood, that it meant unconditional love, that no matter what they said or did, we were tied together by something sacred. But I've learned that blood isn't always sacred. Sometimes it's currency, sometimes it's leverage, sometimes it's the lock on the door that keeps you from leaving even when the house is burning. They called me loyal because I never pushed back. They called it support when I emptied my accounts for their emergencies. They called it love when they guilted me into silence and sacrifice. But what they really meant was, I was convenient. I was quiet. I didn't ask for anything in return. And the moment I stopped playing that role, they turned on me. They didn't ask, "Are you okay?" They asked, "How could you do this to us?" I replayed that question for weeks after I left. I wanted to scream, "I didn't do this to you. You did it to me." Over years, over and over, but I didn't. Because healing doesn't come from being heard by people who never listened in the first place. Healing came from the silence that followed, from the peace I built on my own, from the mornings I woke up without dread, from the nights I slept without obligation pulling at my chest. I'm not bitter, I'm not angry, I'm just done. They called me selfish for saying no, but saying yes was killing me.